Independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will reportedly drop out of the presidential race later on today, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, and endorse former President Trump. He will speak on what his campaign calls, quote, his path forward from Arizona. We will bring that to you live. Trump also has an event in that state later in the day and is teasing a special guest. Who could that be? The burning question, what do RFK Jr. supporters do? Karl Rove with this.
If he does endorse, it could have an impact in some very close states. If he does endorse Trump, it will be a slight advantage. Exactly where, we don't really know, but in a close race, it could be dispositive.
The latest Real Clear Politics average of polls shows Kennedy's support sits between 4% and 6% in all 7 battleground states. The Harris campaign with this.
RFK was obviously funded in large part by MAGA donors. He parroted a lot of MAGA talking points throughout the campaign, so I don't think it would come as any surprise to us should he formally endorse Donald Trump today.
In focus now, Joe Concha, Fox News contributor. So if Kennedy does what's expected, what do you expect that the overall impact could be, Joe?
I think, John, this could be a game changer, quite frankly. I mean, it wipes away almost all the momentum that we're seeing out of the convention. And think about it for a second, because I'm just looking at history here, John. I'm not an expert like Karl Rove, but when you look at 2016, and I know he's brought this up as well, Jill Stein, Green Party candidate, was polling at maybe 1% or so in that race. And we all remember that she took away enough votes, and Hillary Clinton will say this herself, took away enough votes in places like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin to make the difference in that race. If Trump doesn't win those blue wall states, he's not the 45th president. And as you just mentioned, RFK Jr. is 4, 5, 6 times higher in terms of support for, in terms of voters supporting him. So if that's going to be the case, well, even if it's a majority of voters, 60% will call that go to Trump, that makes all the difference in the world. And Democrats only have themselves to blame because they cast him aside, just like they cast aside the Tulsi Gabbards of the world, the Joe Manchins of the world, because they didn't toe the party line 100%. And now that may come back to bite them, John.
Yeah, they also tossed aside Marianne Williamson, who is going to be joining me on our program later on this afternoon. Columnist David Marcus wrote a piece for FoxNews.com about the RFK Jr. voters and how they could cause an earthquake in this election. He said, quote, there is a type of undecided voter I have discovered, a group that a scion of the Kennedy clan might have some sway over. This group simply doesn't trust that Trump and the Republicans or Vice President Kamala Harris and the Democrats are truly capable of bringing about change. These Americans, a small but significant group, were consistently and by far the most likely to bring up RFK Jr. as a voting possibility, and it really has nothing to do with Kennedy's policy prescriptions, which raises the question, Joe, if the folks who were supporting Kennedy simply didn't want to support Trump or Biden or Kamala Harris, do they go to either one of those candidates if Kennedy kind of, quote, releases them, or do they just say, okay, we're going to sit on the sidelines?
John, I think some probably will sit on the sidelines, but many others probably want to have their voices heard, and maybe many others respect Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s endorsement and him saying this is the guy you have to go with if you truly want some of the change that I would bring if I was the candidate. And I think overall it is because he is truly an outsider. He's never held any public office whatsoever, and the Kennedy name still does carry some weight. And then there's things like RFK Jr. does support the Trump tax cuts, for example, does support his position on the border, for example. So it seems that RFK Jr.'s positions, at least in those 2 big areas, and those are the 2 biggest issues in this campaign, align with Trump far more than they do with Kamala Harris. And again, I think some Democrats do have some resentment towards this party, ousting either Joe Biden or making sure Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wasn't on some ballots, wasn't at the debates, and most importantly, I think, didn't get Secret Service attention until after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. That spoke volumes, quite frankly.
Yeah, he was quite bitter about that as well, because he thought that there was definitely a threat against him. And a lot of talk, too, that if Kennedy were to endorse Trump, there might be some big policy job in it for him, maybe even a cabinet position. We'll see. The liberal media, Joe, spent days fawning over the DNC with countless headlines gushing over the event. One called Vice President Kamala Harris's closing speech, quote, forceful. Another said it electrified Democrats. They're praising the overall messaging as a huge success and claim the convention made, quote, an impossible job look easy. Listen here.
She was steely, she was strong, she was energetic.
This building has seen a lot. Joe and Mika, Michael Jordan won 3 championships in here. They've had some electric nights.
It does seem that Democrats are trying to corner the market on joy and hope.
Yes.
I mean, Michelle Obama herself said, you know, hope is making a comeback.
This is where Governor Walz just spoke.
The room in here, in terms of our little crowd at MSNBC Mothership, everybody got out of their seats and started stamping and clapping and going, oh my God, I can't believe this.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama was a keynote speaker. The New York Times, with the piece headlined, Michelle Obama suits the moment. It spent lots of words on her outfit, calling it both understated and edgy, kind of armorial. This was going to be a fight, it said. The piece also praised former President Obama's tie choice. It claimed the silverish colors showed that he is now a man above the political fray. The Times also with a piece on Kamala Harris's tan suit surprise. It says the point is patriotism in the most obvious sense. It worked as a sort of curtain raiser and tone setter for the convention. You know, Donald Trump's not going to just face Kamala Harris's campaign. He's going to face the combined might of the mainstream media in this campaign.
I mean, John, once you thought the media couldn't debase itself any further, apparently rock bottom has a basement, and we hit it during the past week with some of these headlines, right? And you showed them from the Washington Post. Did you know the Washington Post has never endorsed a Republican presidential candidate in its history? I mean, that's hard to do. That means you said Mondale's our guy or Kerry's our guy, so that's kind of interesting. And the New York Times hasn't endorsed a Republican presidential candidate since 1956, which is a very long time ago. So to see these headlines and this coverage.
So
yeah, Mondale, Humphrey, McGovern. Exactly.
I mean, between now and November the 5th, is this what we're going to see? Fawning coverage for Kamala Harris and critical coverage of Donald Trump? Because the Media Research Council did a report, a study, in which it found that I think it was 80-something% of the coverage of Kamala Harris was positive, and 80-something% of the coverage of Trump was negative.
Yeah, it was 84 for Kamala, positive, 89 for Trump, negative. That's a 173-point swing, if I'm doing the math in my head correctly. And look, this was the Festivus convention, John, both from the media and from Democrats. It was an airing of grievances, then somehow heavily marinated in joy, right? All icing, no cake, if we're talking about platitudes versus actual substance. I mean, you look at the transcripts, for example. On night 1, Trump's name was somehow said 160 times on that stage. Night 2, 60 times. Night 3, 94 times. And on the final night, during Kamala Harris's address alone, she hit him 15 times. So, all right, let's get to the cake. How often was actual substance talked about? Night 1, the border was issued, or at least said 8 times. That's all it was mentioned. On night 2, it was only mentioned 5 times. And when it was mentioned, they blamed Trump for the crisis, not the ones that Democrats created. So overall, you'll never guess how often Kamala Harris, for example, broached inflation in her speech on Thursday night. 0.0. And that's a #1 issue. She also didn't bring up, by the way, hey, whatever happened to that price gouging, price fixing cornerstone of your economic plan, Madam Vice President, because that suddenly disappeared from the entire convention outside of Elizabeth Warren. So again, where is the beef? To go back to the 80s, I guess I'll use. There was none of that out of this campaign. That only gets you so far, and it will expose Kamala Harris, my prediction, during the September 10th debate on ABC between Trump and Kamala Harris, because there won't be any teleprompter or prescriptive remarks anymore, John.
And just about 30 seconds left, Joe, but there still isn't a policy page on her campaign website.
Isn't that remarkable? I mean, and don't tell me, well, she's just launching. We're now, what, 5 weeks since she became the Democratic nominee? And even the platform at the DNC had Joe Biden's name all over it in terms of a second term. It's amateur hour.
Well, you know, they did move very quickly. Joe, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.